Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Join us as we dive into the world of Disastrous Necromancer, where we'll unravel the mysteries of Lin Moyu's quest to become the strongest. From hidden secrets to epic battles, we're here to give you an exclusive look at the story before anyone else. If you're a fan of fantasy, necromancers, or just love a good adventure, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and share to support the channel, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a chapter. Let's start the journey.
The skeleton god generals continued their search, finding large and small forests one after another. Lin. In the larger forests, there were tens of thousands of tree-shaped giant beasts. In the smaller ones, there were hundreds. Each forest had a giant tree, considered the king of the trees. The forests had a characteristic. If you didn't provoke them, they wouldn't initiate an attack. In the forests, they found several Jinwei stones, which served as a baseline, completing the basic task first. If they couldn't find a way to clear the secret realm, at least they wouldn't leave empty-handed. More and more giant beasts filled the sky, forming a dark mass like clouds. The skeleton god generals used their speed advantage to race with countless giant beasts. The giant beasts tirelessly chased the skeleton god generals but could never catch up. The giant beasts had no intelligence, only instinct. As long as the skeleton god generals held the golden food, the bait, the giant beasts would relentlessly pursue them, never stopping. The ground gradually cracked, and more golden lines fell from the sky. The secret realm seemed to be draped in golden threads, becoming increasingly splendid and simultaneously more dangerous. The golden lines were composed of the fragmented power of ancient runes, containing terrifying rules that could change the nature of anything they touched. They were untouchable. Touching them meant death. Finally, on the second day of entering the secret realm, the skeletons discovered a clear spring, with golden brilliance flashing in the water, like the golden splendor in the sky reflected in the water, mesmerizing. But Lin Moyu knew that it wasn't a reflection from the sky, it was truly in the water. If one wanted to enter the water to retrieve the golden splendor, they would be attacked by the giant beasts in the water. It was said that there were many Jinwei stones at the bottom of the spring, along with other treasures. Some people had ventured down before, suffering brutal attacks. Some died inside, while others were lucky enough to escape. But those who escaped all had their souls damaged, their realms significantly regressed, and they eventually died. What was dangerous for others, Lin Moyu was determined to explore. That day, he killed several tree kings but still couldn't find the way to the next stage. The tree kings were not the correct method, so he had to seek another path. The skeleton god generals plunged into the spring, seeing more golden splendor. However, in the eyes of the skeleton god generals, the undead vision only showed shades of gray. The golden splendor appeared as a deeper gray. The skeleton god generals, being in the water, inevitably came into contact with the golden splendor, but no transformation occurred. The golden splendor in the water was different from that outside, it didn't cause transformation. Lin Moyu suddenly realized that if the golden splendor outside was unavoidable, then the spring was the best refuge. However, the water also contained giant beasts, making it not a guaranteed safe place. As the water rippled, the skeleton god generals gradually sank to the bottom of the spring, discovering a large number of Jinwei stones. Indeed, many Jinwei stones were piled at the bottom, glowing brightly. Lin. Amidst the glow, runes seemed to be dancing. Unfortunately, they were all broken runes, mere fragments. At that moment, the water rippled, and the skeleton god generals became alert. Shui. Before they could react, an attack had already arrived. The soul fire of the skeleton god generals flickered violently, their aura plummeting. The soul fire in their heads dimmed instantly, almost extinguishing, but then returned to normal in the next second. All the damage was shared, with the entire undead army simultaneously bearing the attack. The attack injured the souls of the skeleton god generals but wasn't enough to kill them. They quickly recovered. The skeleton god generals scanned their surroundings but saw no trace of the enemy. There was nothing in their vision, nor in the undead vision, no soul fire. A soul attack, but no target? Lin Moyu's heart trembled slightly, it was another strange occurrence. The attack was real and extremely powerful, a soul attack. Under such a soul attack, a third-level god king would die instantly unless protected by a powerful soul treasure, otherwise certain death. Even with a soul treasure, the soul would still be injured. A drop in realm was inevitable, almost unavoidable. Only a soul at the god sovereign level, a fourth-grade soul, could resist such an attack. For the skeleton god generals, the attack wasn't a big deal, but the key was they couldn't find the source of the attack. The soul fire flickered silently again, almost extinguishing, but quickly returned to normal. Still, they couldn't find the source of the attack. At that moment, more skeleton god generals arrived at the bottom of the spring. Whoosh! The attack came again, and not just one skeleton god general was attacked. All the skeleton god generals that entered the spring were attacked. The attack intensity was the same, an indiscriminate attack. The situation became increasingly strange, and Lin Moyu pondered for a moment before giving an order. The skeleton god generals raised their bone swords and unleashed sword energy at the pile of Jinwei stones at the bottom of the spring. The Jinwei stones were very sturdy, and the sword energy couldn't break them. However, the sword energy was enough to scatter the pile of Jinwei stones. The mountain of Jinwei stones was blasted apart, and the spring water erupted into a towering column. The true bottom of the spring was revealed, along with countless algae-like plants. These algae were transparent, extending countless barely visible filaments, floating in the water. Lin Moyu finally understood the source of the attack. The souls of these algae were hidden at the bottom of the spring, well concealed, shielded by the Jinwei stones, making them undetectable by the undead vision. Their tendrils were transparent and invisible, blending with the spring water. Because they were invisible and too delicate to be felt, even the undead vision didn't detect them initially. They had already attached themselves to the skeleton god generals, and the soul attacks came from them. Knowing this made things easier. The skeleton god generals launched an attack on the algae. Sword energy rained down, destroying them. The algae seemed to sense danger, and their survival instinct drove them to attack the enemy. A wave of soul attacks hit the skeleton god generals, causing their soul fire to flicker, almost extinguishing. The damage was quickly shared among the undead army, making them nearly indestructible. More skeleton god generals entered the spring, joining the battle. The algae fought back fiercely but to no avail. The bottom of the spring was shattered by the sword energy, and the ground cracked open. Countless golden splendors surged from the lakebed, causing the lake water to solidify and turn golden. A massive golden line descended from the sky, falling into the spring. The nature of the spring water changed rapidly. Not good. Lin Moyu's heart tightened, and he tried to recall the skeleton god generals. But he found that the skeleton god generals didn't return. They were still fighting in the spring, unable to come back easily. As the golden splendor grew stronger, his connection with the skeleton god generals weakened. Eventually, the entire spring became an independent world, and everything inside lost contact. Lin Moyu completely lost contact with hundreds of skeleton god generals. He knew those skeleton god generals were done for, having merged with the spring water, left behind. What is this? Clearly, the algae at the bottom of the spring were not the key to clearing the secret realm. So what was the key? Lin Moyu had to rethink. He had considered all possibilities that day but still couldn't find the answer. The Poison Bee secret realm had been cleared to the second stage before. But no one had ever reached the second stage of the Jinwei secret realm. Even asking the Human Emperor Network yielded no results. Roars echoed from the sky as several giant beasts, previously chasing the skeleton god generals, suddenly left the group and rushed towards the spring. Their target wasn't the spring but the Jinwei stones that had fallen from it. They scrambled to snatch the Jinwei stones, just as they had chased the golden food held by the skeleton god generals. Seeing this, Lin Moyu suddenly understood. Perhaps, it is like this. Under Lin Moyu's watchful eyes, several giant beasts devoured the Jinwei stones. After consuming the Jinwei stones, the giant beasts let out excited roars, their eyes filled with excitement and cruelty. Simultaneously, their bodies grew larger, and their auras also increased. These giant beasts consumed a few more Jinwei stones and became even stronger. Then they returned to their group, seemingly ready to continue chasing the golden food held by the skeleton god generals. But they didn't do that. Instead, they began attacking their own kind. Although they had previously fought each other for food, it was generally a balanced fight. Now, however, the giant beasts that had consumed the Jinwei stones were clearly stronger than the others. Some giant beasts were injured and then killed. The golden light from the slain giant beasts was absorbed by the victors, making them even stronger. The giant beasts became more frenzied, starting to slaughter their own kind to enhance themselves. Lin Moyu watched the transformation of the giant beasts and began to understand what to do. The key to the problem lay in the Jinwei stones. To the giant beasts, the Jinwei stones were both food and a drug that excited them. Consuming the Jinwei stones would trigger their instincts, causing them to lose their minds and kill each other. After killing their kind, they could absorb the golden light from the dead, becoming stronger. This is like raising Gu, raising the strongest one. By killing the strongest one, can the second stage be activated? Lin Moyu had an idea. Since other methods were ineffective, why not try this? After all, these giant beasts would have to be killed eventually. In hindsight, not killing them earlier turned out to be the right decision. It's just a pity about the hundreds of skeleton god generals that died in the spring. If he had discovered this earlier, they wouldn't have died in vain. He found another clear spring, and a large number of skeleton god generals rushed in. The skeleton god generals unleashed sword energy, blasting all the Jinwei stones from the bottom of the spring. A large number of Jinwei stones flew out of the spring, scattering in all directions. Instantly, a large number of giant beasts were attracted. The giant beasts frantically scrambled for the Jinwei stones, becoming even more frenzied after consuming them. The giant beasts began to slaughter each other madly, turning the entire secret realm into a terrifying battlefield. Lin Moyu watched the scene as if watching a play. At the same time, he had the skeleton god generals find more Jinwei springs, gather more Jinwei stones, and make the scene even more chaotic. The giant beasts continued to slaughter each other, and the battle lasted for several days. The number of giant beasts gradually decreased, and the victorious ones grew stronger. Lin Moyu was very patient, waiting quietly. He didn't intervene, fearing that his intervention would disrupt the outcome. The cracks in the ground continued to increase, and the golden brilliance in the sky continued to condense into golden lines and fall. This situation became more frequent, and within a few days, the golden brilliance in the sky had decreased by a third. Lin Moyu estimated that in about 10 days, the golden brilliance would completely fall. By then, the secret realm would return to normal, and clearing it would have to wait until the next eruption. It was said that the Jinwei eruption could occur as frequently as every few months or as infrequently as every few years. He didn't want to waste that much time. Looking at the remaining dozen or so giant beasts, Lin Moyu muttered to himself, "I hope this works. If not, I'll have to try another secret realm." At this moment, the remaining dozen or so giant beasts had all reached the 9th level of the God King realm. If the slaughter continued, the last remaining giant beast would likely reach the lesser God Sovereign level. A lesser God Sovereign level giant beast was not a big deal for Lin Moyu. If viewed from the secret realm's restrictions, the highest level allowed to enter the secret realm was the lesser God Sovereign. Even for a lesser God Sovereign, dealing with the giant beasts would be challenging. Moreover, there was still the second stage. Unless one was a genius capable of fighting above their level, there was almost no chance. Not to mention the combat power, even finding the way to the second stage was as difficult as climbing to the sky. If Lin Moyu hadn't relied on the large number of people, it would have been very difficult to complete. Another day passed, and the slaughter among the giant beasts finally had a result. When the final victor roared, its aura suddenly surged, reaching the lesser God Sovereign level. Simultaneously, its entire body swelled, growing to over 20 meters tall. Its fur shook, shedding golden brilliance, with runes flashing within, all fragmentary runes. A pair of fleshy wings grew from its back, spreading over 30 meters. Its roars shook the secret realm, as if declaring itself the king of the secret realm, the supreme existence. Suddenly, a law galaxy composed of white bones appeared above its head. The law galaxy poured down, and countless skeletons appeared within, all raising their long swords and slashing at the giant beast. Countless sword lights lit up on the giant beast, cutting its fur, skin, and bones. The roars turned into wails in an instant. Before it could react, an even brighter sword light appeared. The bright and dazzling sword light almost tore the giant beast's powerful body in half. The wails turned into screams, and the giant beast fell to the ground amidst the screams. A beam of golden light shot straight into the sky, piercing through the sky and revealing a dark gap. Simultaneously, a vortex appeared beside Lin Moyu, exuding the aura of the Great World. The vortex was the exit, allowing one to leave the secret realm and return to the Great World. The gap in the sky was the entrance to the second stage. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief. This time, he was right. He had found the way to the second stage. As the giant beast died and the entrance to the second stage opened, the golden brilliance in the sky increased several times. This indicated that the time to clear the stage had become more ample. At this moment, the ground shook, and a giant hand covered in runes emerged from the ground. But it only extended a palm before stopping. Lin Moyu had seen this hand before. When the Poison Bee secret realm was fully cleared, it had appeared in the sky and taken away the rune pillar. Afterwards, he had thought that this hand should belong to the Human Emperor Network. The Human Emperor Network had answered that clearing the secret realm was beneficial to it. The benefit was likely obtaining the final rune pillar. In fact, it wasn't beneficial to the Human Emperor Network but to those big shots in the other shore realm. The ones who answered him back then were probably those big shots in the other shore realm, possibly even Ancestor Shu or Saint Hao. This wasn't hard to figure out. The events of ancient times were of utmost concern to the big shots in the other shore realm. Studying ancient runes could likely yield information from ancient times. Even if they couldn't obtain information from ancient times, ancient runes still had great utility. This was the greatest benefit. The Human Emperor Network's reminder sounded in his ear. Exploring the Jinwei secret realm, the first stage task has been completed. Asterisk. You can choose to continue exploring and complete the second stage task for more rewards. Asterisk. Please note, the second stage of this secret realm is an unknown area. No one has ever reached it, and its danger is unknown. Escape talismans will lose their effect. Asterisk. Do you wish to continue? Please decide within 1 minute. Asterisk. Lin Moyu smiled slightly. Do you want me to continue exploring? After waiting for 10 seconds, the Human Emperor Network's voice sounded again. Asterisk. It's your decision. Asterisk. Lin Moyu understood that the one answering him wasn't the Human Emperor Network but a big shot in the other shore realm. And this big shot should have some connection with him. Lin Moyu smiled and said, Are you Ancestor Shu, Old Lin, or Saint Hao? After another 10 seconds, the Human Emperor Network's voice sounded again, with only one word, asterisk, Shu, asterisk. Lin Moyu understood. All right, for your sake, I'll continue. With that, he flew up and rushed into the gap in the sky. In the core area of the human race Divine City Star region, Ancestor Shu was somewhat exasperated. Lin. This brat actually tricked me into owing him a favor. Several big shots of the other shore realm stood by, smiling as they watched the frustrated Ancestor Shu. A favor from someone in the other shore realm is not easily obtained. But with just a few words, Lin Moyu managed to trick Ancestor Shu into owing him a favor. Lin Moyu's response was, for your sake. Meaning, if it weren't for Ancestor Shu, he wouldn't have continued exploring. Yet, just by clearing the stage, he could earn a large amount of Divine City merits, and the original rewards were already substantial. Now, Ancestor Shu had also added a favor, making this deal somewhat unprofitable. Lady Yu elegantly sat nearby, exuding grace and nobility. Lin Xiaoyu is truly interesting. Ancestor Shu paused for a moment. This kid is cunning. Be careful when dealing with him in the future. Old Lin laughed heartily. That's because you're too naive. Ancestor Shu glared at him. Yes, you're the smart one. Old Lin laughed even more heartily. Of course, believe it or not, even if you hadn't said it was for your sake, he would have continued exploring. Thinking back, it seemed to be true. Lin Moyu originally aimed for the Divine City merits, or rather, he also wanted to see the ancient runes. No rune master could resist the allure of ancient runes. Ancestor Shu knew this well but wouldn't admit it. Of course, I knew that. I just intentionally owed him a favor. You should know, my family has several talented and good-looking descendants. The others were stunned, unable to believe Ancestor Shu would say such a thing. Old Lin gave a thumbs up. Old Shu, I have to say, I admire you for thinking this way. To win over Lin Moyu, you're even willing to offer your descendants. Ancestor Shu waved his hand, his old face as thick as a city wall. Don't make it sound so bad. It's for the benefit of my descendants. If you had descendants, I don't believe you wouldn't think the same way. Old Lin snorted. You managed to insult me twice with one sentence. He angrily drank his tea, ignoring Ancestor Shu. Lady Yu's eyes sparkled as she thought, Yuju seems to have a good relationship with Lin Moyu. Should I call her back? Lin Moyu entered the second stage of the secret realm, an unknown land where no one knew what to expect. This was a completely independent world, entirely disconnected from the Human Emperor Network and the Divine City Star region. Escape talismans were no longer effective. If danger arose, one could only rely on themselves. This was a golden world, filled with floating golden light spots that provided illumination. Lin Moyu maintained the bone hell, moving cautiously through the secret realm, knowing that any unexpected event could be fatal. However, he noticed that the golden light spots here were different from the golden brilliance in the first stage. They posed no danger and were purely for illumination. Lin Moyu had learned to distinguish between the two. Whether there was danger could be determined by the presence of rune fragments. The golden brilliance contained rune fragments. All dangers stemmed from the rune fragments. The entire secret realm was formed because of a fragment of a rune. In the Poison Bee secret realm, the giant hand took away the rune pillar, and once the rune fragment was removed, the entire secret realm disappeared. The rune pillar could be considered the core of the secret realm, even its essence. Lin Moyu fully understood that clearing the secret realm meant allowing the power of the Human Emperor Network to permeate the entire secret realm, thereby gaining control over it. Only the big shots of the other shore realm could achieve this. Lin Moyu observed the unknown land, a golden plain with no flowers, no grass, and no clouds in the sky, seemingly empty. In an unknown land, there could be no precedents or clues. In such a situation, Lin Moyu released the skeleton god generals to explore. The skeleton god warriors were no longer sufficient. The dangers here were beyond their capabilities. The skeleton god generals were much stronger, capable of gathering more information even if they encountered danger. In an unknown land, information was the most crucial. Only by obtaining enough information could one solve the puzzles and clear the secret realm. If the puzzles couldn't be solved, the outcome would likely be unfavorable. A large number of skeleton god generals flew in all directions, exploring the unknown land. Without any interference, the skeleton god generals explored quickly. Soon, the general terrain of the unknown land was mapped out. It was a plain, unnaturally flat. The entire ground was as smooth as if it had been sliced by a sharp sword, with a faint mirror-like quality. If polished, it could definitely be used as a mirror. The skeleton god generals not only explored the surroundings but also flew into the sky. At an altitude of 100,000 meters, the skeleton god generals hit an invisible wall and were forcefully bounced back. Despite repeated efforts, they couldn't break through. Soon, the skeleton god generals exploring other directions encountered the same issue. They touched the edge of the secret realm, blocked by an invisible wall. "There's nothing here," Lin Moyu muttered to himself. In this space, apart from the mirror-like ground and the omnipresent golden light spots, there was nothing else. It felt like a transparent cage, trapping him inside. Lin Moyu even wondered if the rune had lost its function and become completely desolate. If that were the case, he might be trapped inside, which was not good news. However, he thought it unlikely. If that were the case, this space shouldn't exist, and the golden light spots shouldn't exist either. The golden light spots moved without wind, gently floating in the air, seemingly following some pattern that Lin Moyu couldn't decipher. Since there was nothing around or above, he could only explore downward. Lin Moyu chose the most straightforward method. The God King golden body shone brightly as he lifted his foot and stomped down hard. With a thunderous boom, Lin Moyu was sent flying, uncontrollably soaring into the sky. He felt the force of his stomp completely rebound. Useless? The spot he stomped on remained unscathed, not even a mark left. Lin Moyu frowned slightly. None of this works? It shouldn't be. With a thought, the skeleton god generals unleashed sword energy at the ground. The sword energy struck the mirror-like ground, which reflected all the sword energy. The sword energy ricocheted through the space, scattering countless golden light spots. Finally, the entire space seemed to awaken, emitting a roar. The golden light spots suddenly swirled like a storm, flying everywhere. Countless golden light spots flew towards the ground, and a rune suddenly appeared on the ground. Lin Moyu's face changed dramatically.